Y'all, let's talk about Lackawanna Blues, but from a spiritual perspective. Let's get into it.
Yellow, yeah! Yellow, yeah! What make your big head so hard?
A lot of people don't know that Lackawanna Blues is actually the true story of Ruben Santiago Jr., who grew up in Lackawanna, New York in the 1950s and 60s. He wrote the story about his early childhood years around the ages of 7 to about 10 or 11 years old. And during those years, he was being raised by Nanny, who was the matriarch of a boarding house that his father used to live in. In the film, Ruben is played by Hill Harper, but Marcus Carl Franklin plays a young Ruben because remember, the film is about Ruben's life between the ages of about 7 to 11 years old. Now, Ruben's mother struggled with some mental health issues and an addiction to the menses, okay? So she left her son to be raised by his father. However, his father lived in a boarding home and he worked a lot, so Ruben was mostly raised by Nanny.
Come on, Eileen.
Don't you man, you better not touch her.
And you just better get right back in your car.
Nanny, I want to live here with you.
Just go on, we'll work it out.
No, no! For real, Nanny, I just want to live here with you.
It'll be all right, baby. Girl, hush. I done heard enough and I done weighed in. Now, I'm gonna take Junior and park him right here until he finished school or until you or his daddy can prove to me that you can take care of him better than I can. We got an understanding?
My mom did come see me every weekend for a while. Then I didn't see her for a long time. Nanny told me she had to go away.
So the film documents Ruben's journey being raised by Nanny, who is the matriarch of the boarding house. And at the boarding house, she takes in a variety of people from all different backgrounds who deal with all kinds of trauma. And that's where the spiritual perspective of this movie comes from. So if y'all haven't caught on yet, the spiritual perspective of Lackawanna Blues is the fact that it is within itself Ancestor Veneration. Adult Ruben is telling the story of his childhood, how he grew up, and he's paying homage. He's honoring not just Nanny, but everybody in that boarding house that poured into him, that taught him lessons through their own trauma. Ruben is practicing Ancestor Veneration.
The people of 32 Wasson Avenue wanted me to have more, amount to more than they did. And so they gave me that bit of themselves that they felt was their best. And the blues I heard and the stories they told will live inside of me forever.
These are some of the people who lived in Nanny's boarding house. And when I say, baby, Lackawanna Blues had a cast on them, everybody and their mama is in this movie. Baby, you got Terrence Howard, Delroy Lindo, Rosie Perez, Macy Gray, Saul Williams, Jeffrey Wright. So many different characters, and every character throughout the movie is telling their story to a young Ruben. They're explaining to Ruben what their trauma is, the impact that their trauma has had on them, and how they ended up in the boarding house in the first place. Now, one of the most interesting stories in the movie is the relationship between Bill, played by Terrence Howard, and Nanny. See, Bill done been through a whole lot of trauma, which gets explained, and that trauma has decreased Bill's emotional intelligence. Because he's low on emotional intelligence, he projects a lot of anger, a lot of sadness, and a lot of hurt onto the people he loves, including Ruben and Nanny.
Bill was Nanny's husband, a big old yellow Geechee boy, 17 years her junior.
I see y'all.
And baby, before y'all even say something, let me just say, Nanny and Bill's relationship was toxic to some people, but Nanny had her boundaries and she kept them with Bill. She held Bill to a certain standard, and one thing she ensured was that he treated Ruben with love.
You want some of that Superwoman?
If you ever mistreat this child again, man, I will blow the back of your head off.
And of course, it wasn't just couples who lived in the boarding house. It was a lot of different characters, most who lived alone. For example, Lonnie, who was a war veteran that dealt with PTSD. And his PTSD really affected his ability to socialize and essentially just be well.
I want my goddamn keys!
There go your keys. Okay, now sit on down. Huh? Sit down now. Now shut all that noise. Here, come on. Sit down. Eat that cornbread till them beans warm up.
Hey, baby brother.
You all right, Nanny?
I'm all right, baby.
And see, what makes Lackawanna Blues such a spiritual movie is that Nanny is a true manifestation of the matriarch of many black families. No matter what trauma people have been through, she's taken them in, she's cared for them. She was a healthy example of a divine nurturing energy. And I say healthy example of divine nurturing energy because Nanny loved people, she cared for them, she was empathetic, but Nanny also had her boundaries. Nanny also did not play. She also told them, and baby, we gon' dance if need be.
Miss Rachel, I come for my family.
Now, when that gal come in here in the middle of the night, half dressed with her babies in tow, blood all over her swole up mouth, I was there for her. And I ain't gonna turn back now. So if you wanna give me a dose of what you give her, bring it on. 'Cause if you ever touch that child again, baby, we gon' dance.
And baby, Nanny loved her some Ruben, honey. He would grease her scalp, he would take care of her, and she took care of her Ruben and made sure that everybody took care of and loved on Ruben. She also poured a lot of life lessons into Ruben. She taught him how to be patient with people, how to give people grace, how to listen for the wisdom in people, no matter what they look like, how they behave, or what they've been through. And the biggest lesson she taught Ruben is that no matter what somebody goes through, they are worthy of love. And see, Lackawanna Blues is really Ancestor Veneration, y'all, because Hill Harper, who plays the adult Ruben, is narrating the whole film and telling the story of Nanny. And I say Ancestor Veneration because the film starts out with the adult Ruben sitting at Nanny's bedside who is sick, and he really is pouring love into her and begging her not to go. He then starts telling her story, which is the film. He's telling the story of how he grew up being loved and cared for by Nanny and all of the people who lived in the boarding house. And at the end of the film, Nanny is leaving the hospital. Ruben is taking her home. Everyone who she took care of in the boarding house is there, and they start pouring love right back into Nanny, showing her she's appreciated, she's valued, pinning money on her as a demonstration that we love you and we want to pour into you just like you poured into us. True Ancestor Veneration.
Nanny, you can't take care of these people. You're sick yourself.
Baby, go on, do what I ask you. I'm all right. This is what I do. Go on now.
Yes,
Ooh, Pauline, what you got over there smelling so good?
Everything. I know how you like the chicken and dumplings, so I got that. And I fried up some porgies. And I got some greens and some turnips and some mustard and some macaroni and cheese. And for dessert, your favorite,
It is.
coconut lamb cake.
Girl, you done outdone yourself, baby. Yeah. I'm gonna go and check on something in the kitchen.
Mother.
Yes, baby.
Come here.
What?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nanny.
Thank you, Nanny. Thank you.
To take fragments and make them whole. That's what Nanny did.
So as we watch Lackawanna Blues, it truly is a spiritual movie. Go back and watch it, see what lessons, see what gems you catch, and then practice paying homage, practicing Ancestor Veneration for your own elders, your own family members, the friends of family, the community that raised you. What did you learn? What did they teach you? Who poured into you? Love your folks, y'all. Much peace.